Okay, and I'm live again. Oh boy, 2 days in a row. Craziness is that? I am playing more Our Life today. To anyone seeing this in the future, hello, hello. To anyone who's not here right now, hi anyways. Yes. So, I'm going to be playing more Our Life today. Very excited. Hoping to run into Jeremy again, maybe, if I'm lucky. Alright. Give a little bit more time before I get started. I had quite the day today. I am streaming late today because unfortunately I got a bit caught up because I was assembling my booth at very long last, which was very exciting. Oh, hello! Hello. Thank you for joining the stream. Yes, so I'm streaming a bit late today because I got a bit caught up. You've never been in live before? Oh, well, welcome. Welcome for the first time. Glad to have you here. We'll wait a little bit more in case anyone else wants to come in, and then we'll get started. Alright. Friend of mine's gonna come in. Alright, awesome. Okay. So yes, I am streaming Our Life again today. For you and for anyone else who hasn't come in before, I do voice Jeremy if you didn't know. I know you know, but anyone else who comes in. So we've been playing this for a couple streams now, and we got through the first phase. I skipped through because I wanted to see Jeremy, and we are in the second phase now. So we will have to pick one. Hello, Alex. Nice to see you. Now the question, which one to play today? I know last time somebody told me not to do soiree until later in the summer, so we won't do that one just yet. What's a good one to do? Let's see. I'm gonna go with Wave, because that one caught my eye last time, but I didn't have time to do it, so let's see what happens this time, you know? The family shopping trip had lasted most of the morning, and you still had to unload everything from the trunk before you could go enjoy the afternoon. You cradled another bag in your arms as you headed towards your house. It was one of the heavier bags from the grocery store, loaded with fresh apples, ripe tomatoes, a bunch of carrots, and even half a watermelon. Ma came out the front door and paused just ahead of you.
It's no trouble.
Need any help with that, Lewis? I can bring it in the rest of the way if you need me to. Yes, please, it would be helpful. It was just too heavy. As if. No, of course, I've got it. I'm not gonna make Ma take it. I said, no, I've got it. You could just manage to hold it. Even if it was heavy, you wanted to bring it in yourself. Ma gave you an encouraging grin and rustled her fingers through your pink hair. You set the next bag on the counter. Your older sister began to root around inside for the contents with a sigh. How much is left? Still a few more bags. With a huff and a puff, Elizabeth continued putting away the groceries, and you retreated out of the kitchen before you could become the target of her bad mood.
Be careful.
Careful, Lewis. You hadn't been looking where you were going and bumped right into Mom, almost stepping on her toes to boot. Sorry. I can give you a pass this time, but be sure to watch where you're going. If you run into the wrong person, you might get your license revoked. She grinned at the bad joke as you continued through the door. Mom. Oh gosh, I love Mom and Ma. Outside, Ma had started organizing what remained and putting back any loose objects that had fallen out during the trip. When you stepped up to the trunk beside her, she took in a big breath of air, her dress gently swaying around in the breeze.
That's a shame.
It's a shame we have to spend the morning cooped up in that shopping center. It's a beautiful day, don't you think? You tilted your head to the sky, gazing at the clear blue expanse. I wish it was raining. Nah, okay, it's a nice day. It is. Oh, it's somebody that you know, Alex. Oh, it's nice. You closed your eyes and enjoyed the way the sun warmed your face for a few moments before turning back to help Ma with the groceries. Oh, hi, Cove. Hey, there's the boy. There he is. You noticed Mom wave over at Cove, who had just exited his front door, his surfboard propped up under one arm. Let me see. Surfboard and wetsuit? Where might you be off to on this beautiful day? Oh, look at him. Look at that boy. Cove flinched at being called to so suddenly. He hadn't realized there were people out here already, but he quickly recovered. Good one, Mrs. Lomond. He crossed the pavement to properly say hello to you and your moms. Hello, honey. It's a beautiful day for surfing. I haven't been out on the waves in a long time. I'm jealous. Cove smiled, pleased to have people around who shared in his hobby. Yeah, I'm hoping to get a good few waves before it gets dark. Do you want to come hang out there later, Lewis? Of course. Of course we're gonna go meet with the lad. Sure, I'll meet you there when we're done. Cool. Can I help out with anything?
No.
This is our job. You go enjoy the beach. Lewis can catch up as soon as he's finished here. All right, I'll see you. Yeah. You watched as Cove headed off toward the beach, unable to hide your grin knowing that you'd be joining him soon. Once everything had finally been taken in and put away, you got yourself ready to meet Cove at the beach. Ooh, do we say that Lewis knows how to surf? I don't know if I've ever headcanoned whether or not he can or not, but... Because, yeah, if anyone who hasn't seen any streams before, I'm playing as just an OC of mine, so... Kind of also making my own choices based on what I would pick, but it's mostly just my OC. Yes, we're going to meet Cove only as heterosexual best friends. As we know, we think about Cove constantly. We literally hold Cove's hand and hug him all the time because we are fully platonic best bros. I can't say it without laughing. Cove and Lewis, best of heterosexual best friends. There is nothing gay here at all. No gay subtext, I assure you. You know what? We're going to say that Lewis does surf in this universe, at least. He has a surfboard in his room. You've been practicing your surfing more and more lately. It was always ready to go. After grabbing your board and getting everything ready, you headed down to the beach.
Have fun.
Have fun, honey. Stay safe. When you arrived at the shore, you were greeted by the crash of waves and the soft calls of seagulls. You took in a lungful of the ocean air and felt your olive skin warm in the sun. You noticed a small setup nearby with a towel, some sunscreen, and a bottle of water. It must be Cove's. You spotted Cove himself nearby. He hadn't gone out to sea just yet. He was just sitting in the sand at the water's edge, his board propped up beside him. You strolled up beside him. Hey, I'm here. Lewis. He looked up to see you with a smile and quickly hopped to his feet. I was wondering if you were still coming. I wouldn't have missed it. He chuckled shyly at your insistence. Okay. Then he cast his eyes out toward the waves. Cove, I'm not that good at surfing. I'm ready to get in there. Me too. Let's go. You tucked your board under your arm and nodded at him, and the two of you ran into the water together. You paddled out into the sea to where the good waves were. The water was cool against your skin.
It's nice.
Aw. Not too calm, but nothing crazy. It looks perfect today. He smiled at you and you couldn't help but smile back. You felt totally content. Until Cove kicked the water a little too hard and it inadvertently splashed you. Hey! Sorry. The apology did not come across as especially repentant, as he was practically laughing when he said it. You splashed him back, of course. You laughed, but waited for an opening for revenge. The second he looked away, you kicked back, spraying him. It quickly devolved into a splash war. You had no idea who was winning at the point when the ocean decided to throw its weight around and douse you both with a tall wave. Cove laughed, his smile infectious. You couldn't help but join in. Yeah, it's because they keep their socks on that we know it's heterosexual. It's pure just straight best friends. Nothing else there. Draw? We can't draw, we're in the middle of the ocean, Cove. If you wanted to draw, we should have stayed inside. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a draw. You nodded at one another from your boards, bringing the war to a peaceful end. Cove pointed out into the distance. You followed his finger to see some nice-looking waves. Hey, let's get going. You agreed. No doubt there was room for you to do something good. You were ready to have some fun. You started taking on waves. Cove tried out a few tricks, and you got into the rhythm of finding just the right waves. Have you ever thought of what the fish and other ocean animals think we're doing here? Have you?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. It seemed that was all he was going to say on the topic. Okay, you started to turn away to paddle to the next wave when he spoke again. Oh, that's weird. Cove reached into the water and pulled out something small and brown. Was it a tiny stick? A clothespin? Cove looked at it with disbelief. He blinked slowly, then he raised the clothespin with a mischievous look in his eye. I guess it's needed. How else would dolphin hang up their flippers? They've got to be stored somehow. Shut the hell up. I'm gonna say that was terrible on any scale. He giggled shyly and kicked lightly in the water. You played around for the rest of the afternoon and kept chatting in between the waves. You thought about how you had surfed today. You did pretty good. You were definitely improving. A while ago, you never would have been able to ride some of today's waves. You were really learning. If you kept this up, who knew how good you'd be by the end of the summer? Cove gave you a lot of encouragement about your performance. What an afternoon. Ah, now we get to be cute, okay. The setting sun was visible on the horizon. Every time you would look away, it had sunk a little lower. The beach was darkening, but still pleasantly warm. You knew you should get out of the water before it was completely dark in the sea. You rode one last wave to get back to the beach. There, you picked up your surfboard and gave it a quick once-over. Cove followed behind you to the shore. He put his board with his other things and grabbed his towels to start drying off. As he ruffled his hair with the towel, you watched the sunset together. The colors were beautiful in the distance, and the shadows around you deepened. Time to kill him, yes. That pun was horrible. You're lucky you're cute, Cove. There was no need for words between you two as you both enjoyed the sight for a moment. Cove broke the silence. The waves were good today, I think. Yeah, totally. He nodded mildly. You've gotten so good. You couldn't help but smile at the praise. It meant a lot coming from him. You chatted a little more until the conversation truly died out, and all you heard was the rhythmic sound of the waves. Then Cove sighed. The day can't be over. Not yet. He scowled into the distance as if the sun exiting the sky was a personal offense. Don't you think it should be longer? Yeah. Cove stood up straight in defiance of the approaching darkness. I'm not gonna go home yet. I want to go somewhere. I don't know. Cove was still dripping in salt water, so you weren't sure what the alternative was. Wetsuits were fine for the beach and not much else. It wasn't a good idea for him to lug his surfboard around town either. You'll be real cute in that wetsuit wherever you go, he said platonically. Tempting as it is to say that. I don't think Lewis is bold enough to say that yet, especially since he will not acknowledge that there's anything but straightness here. So, yeah, I want to do something too. Cove nodded with a smile. Then he looked down the shore with wide, shining eyes. There's at least one place that's always okay to hang out in, no matter what time it is. The park. You nodded. The park was virtually always empty. Even Elizabeth only went over there nowadays if she was looking for you. How times have changed. She used to be so protective of that place. In fact, the only person there was a chance of running into might be that Jeremy kid again. You brought the idea up to Cove and he cringed, but I'm still going. The sun is still there, a little. I'm staying out as long as it is. Of course you tagged along. Okay, let's go. Cove took a minute to put his stuff in order. He made sure to get it all, though didn't take much care to shake the sand off. You dealt with your own things. For Lewis, yeah, you took your time to pack your bag. The two of you finished at about the same time. He led the way down the beach to the park. It wasn't far, so it didn't take you long at all. The sun still hadn't completely disappeared just yet when you made your arrival. Cove stuck his surfboard upright in the sand and tossed his towel over top. By now the two of you were mostly dry. The summer breeze on your skin kept you pleasantly warm. Cove idly went over to the monkey bars. He grabbed them, feet flat on the ground, and pretended to go across. He had definitely grown in the past few years. Not like me. As the game acknowledges. You were still short enough to use the monkey bars yourself. Sometimes being tiny had its perks. Tiny. Okay. When he got to a bar in the middle, Cove pulled himself up and through, then sat on top of the bars. His legs dangled off the side of the bar he perched on. Yeah, you joined him on the monkey bars. You looked above yourself to inspect the monkey bars. You might have been short, but that just gave you more experience in climbing things. You leaped and grabbed at one of the bars, using the momentum to swing yourself up. It took a little more scrambling, but you made it to the top. Cove seemed impressed. I love the backgrounds. I say that every time I stream this, but I love these backgrounds. Kudos to whoever drew them all. Gosh knows drawing backgrounds is not a fun thing for most people. I know you and I were discussing that yesterday, Alex. It's one of those things. You settled on the monkey bar like it was a throne. You didn't get to be above everything often. Oh, stop. Stop reminding me of my height. I say knowing full well that I picked short as my height anyways. Guess what? He smiled broadly and raised an eyebrow. He's not here. We're all happy Jeremy's not here. Short cow, short cow. Whatever, man. It's my genetics. Leave me alone. It was funny. My mom and I, when we were measuring the PVC for my booth today, when we were putting it all together, she said at one point, it was something along the lines of like, okay, so it's 6'2", and I just muttered to myself without even thinking, man, I wish I was 6'2". She just gave me a look like, uh-huh. She's shorter than me, so she's like, yeah, sure. I say as if we aren't like the same height, or yeah, you and I are like the same height, aren't we? I'm pretty sure. If we ever meet and you're like an inch taller than me, I will fight you directly. No. Someday, I swear to God, I'll grow. I like to pretend that I'm still gonna get a growth spurt. I'm like, I'm a growing boy. I'm only 21 in like a few months. I can grow still. Definitely. Right, it was true. There wasn't a single sign of Jeremy. Looks like it was just going to be the two of you tonight. No threesomes here. Just us. Cove hung his head and groaned dramatically. Your eyes widened when he whipped his head back up.
No way.
Oh. Poor Cove. I can't believe how dumb my parents are for forcing me to come to this stupid place. You were taken aback and blinked for a second before... Oh, you realized he was quoting Jeremy. Don't scare me like that. One Jeremy is enough. You don't have to tease him. We're not defending Jeremy. I don't care if I voice him. He doesn't deserve to be defended. Oh, he's such a little gremlin. Ugh, parents don't know anything. Cove chuckled back at you, amused. You looked around. The old park, the streets you knew like the back of your hand, and the beach. These were your stomping grounds. You wondered how Cove actually felt. How much was his joke just a joke, and how much was sincere dislike of this place? Moving had never been his choice. Fuck Jeremy, all my homies hate Jeremy. Fuck Jeremy, all my homies hate Jeremy. Do you actually like this neighborhood? Do you really have to ask that, Lewis? Cove kicked his legs carelessly as they dangled. He smiled softly. I like it here. I really do. It's a nice place. He didn't hesitate. There was no uncertainty. That was his genuine opinion. Aww. Well, of course, I'm here after all. You nodded wordlessly. A content feeling fell between the two of you. It didn't take long for the day to finally draw to a close. The sun was gone and it was dark. You chatted a while longer, but it was definitely winding down. I wish days were longer. I wish this day was longer. His feet kicked out. It made him look like a pouty child. Oh well. Cove sighed. It was time to go home. He hopped down from the monkey bars with a thump when his feet hit the ground. You clambered down the monkey bars yourself. You lowered yourself more slowly than Cove did and barely made a sound when your feet reached the ground. Cove grabbed his surfboard and threw his towel around his neck. With his water bottle in hand, he was ready. You both began to trek up the road. It was a quiet night and you didn't run into anyone else. In what felt like no time at all, you had reached your street. When you came to your houses, you turned to each other. Thanks for today, Lewis. Thanks for the awesome day. Cove waved and you both turned around to your respective houses. This was a pleasant end to the outing, you thought. Aw. Well, that one was sweet. Which one now? Dinner, road trip, growing, summer work, mall. Mall? You want mall? Alright. Mall it is. Let's go to the mall. We'll have a good time at the mall. Alright. Sorry. I have some cookies, so I'm gonna eat them. They're yummy. My mom brought cookies. They're so good. I don't know how she makes them better than me. I have the same recipe. It's all the same ingredients. But she still makes them better than me. Alright. Lee's visit today turned out to be more involved than you expected. After overhearing where the Holden family was going, Lee insisted on seeing Mr. Holden's shop firsthand. Oh. We're at Mr. Holden's shop, are we? Unsurprisingly, it's diving gear. Wow, who could have guessed? An hour later, and Lee was busy looking at every item on display. Because Cove's dad offered supplies, lessons, and tours, his shop had all the scuba-related stuff you could imagine. Fins, masks, suits, and snorkels. After circling around the shop, you finally stopped and looked at the whole room. It wasn't often that you tagged along to hang out at the shop. You preferred it that way. It meant there was always something new to look at, even if it was just a layout change. You were in good spirits. It was a pleasant surprise. Visiting the shop made for a fun afternoon. Just the other day, Cove was telling you about the new wetsuits, and now you gotta check them out. Lee was still busy poking through the various wetsuits displayed, so you decided to see what Derek and Cove were doing. They were too absorbed in their conversation to notice you standing near them, leaning against the counter. You were able to pick up the topic quickly.
Anyway.
My dad told me the new stuff is selling like crazy. Yeah, the material has this new blend with less neoprene. My dad says people are really interested in it.
It brought a smile to your face hearing that the shop was doing well. You decided to just keep listening. It was interesting just to watch them speak about what they knew.
But really, there's just so much to think about with a business. It's crazy. No matter how much I come, I still don't think I get it.
Cove hummed and nodded in agreement, causing a good-humored laugh from Derek.
I thought you only liked the scuba diving part, not the job part.
That's just the best part. I think about other things, too.
I gotcha.
Cool. The business side running it? That's my favorite.
Out of the corner of your eye, you caught movement, and you realized that Lee was now standing next to you.
When your dad's retired, do you guys think you're going to carry on the store?
Both sons shrugged in unison.
Well...
There's tons of things I could do. My dad thinks so too. He doesn't want me to plan on working here forever.
Cove's gaze fell to the floor. You could see the conflict flashing across his face.
I don't
know. That's a lot. Being the real boss of something and totally in charge? I wouldn't want to take over either. I can't run a business. I wouldn't want to take over someone else's shop either. I want to do my own thing. I want to decide what I do myself, not just follow behind what my parents ended up picking.
Totally.
Cove's parents left the back office and came over, catching your attention. Hey! It's the attractive parents. All the parents in this game are hot. That's just how it is. We know this. I love how I'm still calling him Cove's dad on the title there, even though we know, like, his name. We know he's Mr. Holden, and we also know his first name. I forget what it is off the top of my head. But I know it. At least Lewis does. Sorry, kids, but looks like it's gonna be a long one. I know usually others hold the fort down, but I really need to stay here today. I know you just wanted a little visit. It'd be boring getting stuck all day because of me. Kyra can take my car and go back to the neighborhood. Cove and Derek gave him an understanding look. Mr. Holden crossed his arms and flashed you all a big smile, trying to lift the mood. The one condition is that someone has to remember to come back for me later. You don't get to strand me here, no matter how funny that might be. Kyra laughed and gave a thumbs up. Oh my god, she looked so pained. Just like, sure. Mr. Holden seemed satisfied with that. He moved on with the explanation. Derek, your dad also has his hands full today, so he doesn't have time to run you back home.
It's okay.
That's alright, sir. The title Sir got an awkward chuckle out of Cliff. Ah, yes, Cliff. Which was cut short when Kyra elbowed him teasingly.
What do you think?
You already said I could borrow your car. Why don't I take all the kids somewhere fun for the afternoon?
Absolutely.
That's fine with me. Just please come back eventually. Sometime today, Kyra. After multiple jokes about being left with no ride, you had to wonder if that actually happened in their past together. For you, my good sir, I swear. Cross my heart. Happy with the promise, Cliff took out his black wallet and offered a $50 bill to Kyra. Here, in case you need gas or anything while you're out. Kyra smiled knowingly and accepted the bill without hesitation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cove's dad stuck the wallet in his back pocket while he waved with his free hand. Okay, time for me to jump back into work. Have fun for me. Bye, Dad. Bye. Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Holden.
Goodbye, sirs and madams. He left the room with a wink and flare, disappearing into the employees-only area of the shop. Sugar Daddy Cliff, Sugar Daddy Cliff. He got that money. He tried to bribe us right at the beginning. We know he got that money. Oh man. I'm sad Bagel's not here to bully me today. I never thought I'd miss Bagel bullying me, but I do. That's alright. When Mr. Holden was out of sight, Kyra silently strolled over to the counter and carefully placed the $50 bill there. Haha. She turned back around and beamed a large smile at you and the others. Come on, gang. Let's see if this town has a mall. Yeah. Yes! Unable to contain her excitement, Lee actually jumped with joy, while Cove and Derek just grinned. There wasn't a mall in your hometown, but Mr. Holden's store wasn't in Sunset Burn. It might be possible to find a mall out here. You felt pumped. Hell yeah. Heck yeah! Sorry, heck yeah. Can't be using the HE double hockey sticks word. Nah. Let's go. Hell yeah, car. She quickly herded the group out of the store into the car.
Cove.
As the driver, I get to choose my partner in crime. Naturally, I bestow the position of shotgun to my baby. Her comment had both Derek and Lee snickering. Cove was for sure embarrassed over the phrasing and blatant favoritism, but he took the seat by his mom without complaint. Yeah, I bet it's double hockey sticks, you fucking Canadian. Yeah, it's double hockey sticks, eh? Is that not something you say? It's HE double hockey sticks, you know. I'm a bad Canadian, I don't own a hockey stick. But to make up for it, my dad owns probably like 6 the last time I checked. Oh, okay. You're just giving me shit. Okay. That makes sense. That checks out. Sounds about right. You were fine with that. You got shotgun in your own car a lot. It made sense that he got priority here. I'll take the middle seat. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want a window seat. You two can have them. Are you cool with that? You thought it was odd that anyone would give up a window seat, but you knew Derek tried to be especially polite when he was a guest. You nodded.
Fantastic.
Good. Sounds like we're in agreement. Derek's nicer than I would be. I'm always like, window seat, never put me in the middle. Probably because I had to sit in the middle a lot as a kid. I don't even remember why. I was like the oldest. I don't know why I got stuck in the middle all the time. Whatever. Everyone squeezed into the car, buckling in, and Kyra turned the radio on. She set it to a top 40s pop station. Well, I'm not into that, but I'm not gonna tell her to change it, and I'm not gonna dislike it. Sure, I was into it, why not? Quickly you recognized the song playing. It was a new one by an artist you were listening to a lot recently. It wasn't long until your group realized they were lost, but after driving in enough circles, Kyra's struggle paid off when she found a local mall. There were more cheers from Lee as Kyra pulled into a parking spot. America! Guys, this is my favorite store! America! They've got the Friday sale! Oh. And Yo-Yo! And... oh god, I can't read what that one says. R-T-O-W? Or T... oh god, I can't read that one, no. Once your group had made it inside, the first order of business on this trip was checking what this mall actually had. Where should we go? I think I see a makeup store up ahead. She rolled up on her tiptoes to get a better view. Meanwhile, Derek was eyeing the directory. There's a chocolate shop! Seriously, we have to go there! Derek! Yes! My boy gets it. He understands. Oh god, there's this... See, now I'm reminiscing about being at the mall, because I can't do that anymore because of, obviously, the world right now. But, like, oh man. Anytime when we used to go to the mall, there's this place called the Rocky Mountain... What's it? The Rocky Mountain Candy Store or the Rocky Mountain Express? I don't remember what the hell it's called. But it like, always smells so good. Because they like, hand dip caramel apples there. And they, like, make their own chocolate in that store. So you go in, and it's just... chocolate and caramel and like all these goodies all over the walls, and it's so good. Their stuff is like ridiculously expensive, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't go there every time, even when I don't have the money to buy anything. It's good. God, I miss malls. I miss malls so much. Someday in the future, we'll be able to go back. Yes. Wait, we need to find a decent jewelry shop. I need new hair ties and barrettes.
Nice.
We gotta at least look for a game store. There's tons of things you can't get anywhere but a store that's just for video games. Okay, seriously, Derek, what? Stop being perfect. Boy, you're too good. Oh, Derek, you're becoming my fave. Stop. He's too good. Hey, what are you thinking, Cove? I want to look at the fish in the pet store. You could have guessed that much. Anywhere else? He smiled with some bashfulness. Can we go to a camping and outdoor supplies shop?
So...
What about you, Lewis? The food court. Me. The food court, a video game store, the chocolate shop, an art and supplies store. That's certainly a list. Good thing we have all afternoon. Yeah. I have my own stops I want to make. Let's agree to regroup here at 7 p.m.
What?
You're not coming with us? We're all in the same building. You won't be as alone as you think. That... Well, I mean, I guess they're all like 13 at this stage. Yeah, okay, I'll let it slide. I'll only be a few minutes away at most. You're old enough to enjoy them all without me hovering. Okay.
See you soon.
Be back here at 7 p.m. Toodaloo. Leaving Derek and Lee stunned by their newfound freedom, Kyra walked off. When she was almost out of sight, Derek's face twisted in confusion. Wow, she's really gone. I can't believe she just did that.
Woo!
This is so cool. We get to do whatever we want. You were happy about it. Talk about an amazing opportunity to get kidnapped. It really is exciting. With the decision already made, Derek tried to pull together his earlier enthusiasm for the trip.
So...
Is Derek that nervous about not having somebody around? Derek, it's okay, my guy. Boy. That boy. So, where are we going first? Time's a-wasting. Whatever's closest. Things were coming together, but you realized there might be a flaw in today's sudden plans. What's wrong, Lewis? Did everybody bring money with them?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did. I always have some on me when I come all the way out here. You left all your money at home? I don't want to be the one asshole who doesn't have money. I'll say I brought money. Immediately you felt better about the situation. It would have been a downer to not be able to even think about something at the mall because they didn't have money. I'm good. Now that everything was squared away, you explored the mall together as a group. There were many shops that you managed to venture into so far. You all even went into the food court, leaving you with a pep in your step. This was better than you thought, and there was still so much to see. After having hit many of the top priority stores, you found yourself passing by a small booth. It was decorated in wind chimes of various sizes. You raised a hand up to one of the smaller ones. What sparked your attention next was Cove. You thought for sure he was going to stop at the booth by the way he looked at it, but he kept going.
Do you want one?
It wasn't until Lee asked that you realized that you had stopped in front of the booth without saying anything. Lee just continued to encourage you.
You should get one.
You wanted one, but for someone else. They had caught your attention, though it was because it might make a nice gift. You wondered if Lee was planning on becoming a wind chime salesperson since she kept pushing it.
I have one like this at home, and it makes the prettiest sound.
Fishing your money out, you made a decision on what to buy. You got one for yourself and one for Cove. Can I get these two, please? Now why would you need two wind chimes? You rolled your eyes at her teasing tone, but you couldn't hide the smile growing on your face as Lee broke out into laughter. The shopkeeper carefully wrapped your purchases up and handed it back to you in a bag. You accepted and then raced off with Lee to catch up to the boys. For Cove, you had picked out a beautiful wind chime that had a dolphin charm. Aww. You had a feeling he'd appreciate that. After leaving another clothing store, one that Lee couldn't resist exploring, you and your friends found yourself walking down the main hall of the mall again. It wasn't long until everyone you were with had their eyes on the smoothie kiosk ahead. Should we stop?
Yeah.
As you approached, your eyes were drawn to the dizzying list of smoothie combinations. A part of you wondered how long it would take to try them all. Hi there, do you need a rundown of how this works?
Yes, please.
Okay. First off, you pick up to 3 options of fruit or berries. Then I'll add the ice and the store's special smoothie base mix. And then you'll have your very own smoothie for $4. There is only one size. Cove leaned over the counter a bit. For several moments, he intently studied the plentiful fruit and berry options.
I want to get a strawberry banana smoothie with coconut, too.
Hell yeah, strawberry banana. Sounds good. Anyone else getting something?
Can I get one that's just all mango?
Oops, all mango. Of course.
Thanks.
I'd like strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries for mine. Thanks.
The shopkeeper looked at you now. Yeah, I want one. Peer pressure all the way. I'm not going to say no when all my friends have one. Could I get... Ooh, what do I want? Raspberry peach. Raspberry peach, that's what I want. At that, everyone went ahead and paid for their individual drinks. You waited over at the other side of the booth where the drinks were put where the drinks were put when they were done. Jesus. Derek bounced on his feet, excited for his to be ready.
Aw.
This is gonna be good.
Lee chimed in with her own enthusiasm.
Everybody says their smoothie-based stuff can make any drink great.
Cove, while quieter, looked just as eager for his smoothie. Luckily, there hadn't been anyone else before you, so it wasn't a long wait. Your group collected the fresh drinks as they were placed on the counter. Straws were placed through the opening at the top of the cup, and the first tentative sips were had. I can't read today. Derek sighed in satisfaction after his taste.
Mango is too delicious. Mine is super good too.
Cove nodded and hummed in agreement. His straw was still in his mouth. You were happy with yours too.
This is perfect. Cool. We all made excellent choices today. Yeah.
Sneakily, you wanted to steal... Okay, well, since I'm playing as Lewis, I feel like I'm morally obligated to say sneakily you wanted to steal a sip of someone else's smoothie. And of course, we're gonna do it for Cove, our very platonic best friend. As you followed alongside Cove for a while, you noticed that even when he wasn't drinking, his straw never left his mouth. He was content to always be in position for more sipping. You wondered if this plan was foiled before it even started. Oh no, you didn't give up. If there's a will, there's a way. Does that imply that I'm gonna just, like, take the straw from his mouth? Wait. Wait, hold on. Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna pick that, but I just want to see if that is what it's implying. You considered recruiting Lee for help. You knew she would gladly bring aid to your cause, but you were still holding out hope for keeping this a solo mission. Looking back at Cove, he was chewing on his straw. You considered that he'd likely move his cup if you could find a way to distract him. What you didn't notice right away, because you were too absorbed in thought, was that Cove kept alternating his gaze from looking at you and elsewhere. You feared he knew what you were planning, but you shook that off. He may have known something was up, but not the specifics. You couldn't help but grin to yourself. After that, he raised an eyebrow and gestured with one hand as if to ask what, all while still sipping on his smoothie. This time, you fought to keep yourself from smiling. You instead tried to look confused. Huh? Cove rolled his eyes and actually let go of his straw. What do you want, Lewis? You're staring. He finished the sentence before he processed what happened. With the drink open, you had simply leaned forward and latched onto his straw. Okay, so I didn't steal the straw from his mouth. Still cute, though. So that's how it is. Pass yours over. Cove gestured toward your cup with his chin, eliciting a laugh out of you. You handed him your smoothie in return. He only took a small sip like you did, and the smile on his lips told you that he liked it. When he looked back at you, Cove was still trying to feign annoyance with your antics. Now we're even. You were satisfied with that. As your group continued to wander the mall, you came to an area in the path that was wider. In the center of the store was a collection of quarter-operated ride-on machines. Oh my god. You're just taking me right back, huh? Take me right back to the old malls. God, I distinctly remember at the, like, shopping center we used to go to when I was really small to get groceries. There was this weird, like, unicorn one of these things. Every time we passed it, I would ask my mom, please, can I go on it? She's like, there's no point. There's no point. But I think, like, twice she let me go on it. And those were the best days. I want to ride. I think we might be too big. Speak for yourself, asshole. No way, we're not that old yet. He eagerly headed over to the machines, wanting to get a better look. Lee went along with it, smiling. Cove's the only tall kid here right now, so he's probably just like, guys. You thought the idea was childish. Of course I wanted to ride too. What do I look like, someone with impulse control? Absolutely not. You quickly chased after Derek. He turned his head back at the sound of your footsteps and gave a thumbs up over his shoulder. Reconvening around Derek, you watched as he was focused on the various brightly colored rides. Most were designed to look like real vehicles, but there were also some horse-shaped ones. Ah, what'd I say? Horse one. One of them could even seat 2 people. I call the helicopter. Why?
Cool.
It's the coolest, and I think it'll move the most. He started digging in his pockets, pulling out whatever money he had left. Wait, is everything okay? I need 4 quarters, right? Yeah. I only have 2. There has to be more between all of us. Hold on. Pockets, wallets, and purses were checked over. Derek still had 2, Cove had only 1, Lee ended up with the most at 3. You didn't have any.
Don't worry about it.
You can have mine. Thanks, but you don't have to. It's not enough for me. And even if it was, it'd be dumb to ride while you had to watch. Cove shrugged. He had tried, failed, and looked unsure of what to do next. Why don't we all get on one ride? Couldn't we exchange dollar bills for more quarters at a store? Derek slapped a hand to his cheek, eyes wide.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that'll work. Let's do it. The group scattered to various shops around. When you shortly reconvened at the rides, everyone had more than enough quarters. There was no wiping the smile off your face. Despite the little hiccup initially, the plan to hitch a ride was coming together. Let's get this over with. We have the coins.
Okay.
Cheer up, man. This is gonna be good. Yay!
There were enough machines that everyone claimed one for themselves. Derek got his coveted helicopter. Lee was happily on a horse. Cove waited to choose last. It seemed he didn't want to take a ride someone else wanted when he cared so little about it. You picked a double-seater car and you brought Cove along. I mean, we're all in at this point for just completely going with Cove for everything. So yeah, sure, let's go for a car with Cove.
Cove, you can sit with me.
He gave a bent smile and put a hand on his hip when he saw the ride you pointed out.
I don't know.
Do you really want to try fitting me in that? You might actually be comfortable if you use it by yourself.
That doesn't matter. I want to ride with you.
Alright. Lee winked at the two of you from her pony as you squished next to one another in the child-sized seats. Looks were exchanged across the way, and you each popped the coins in at the same time. The little ride stuttered to life. As the machines began moving up and down and side to side, Lee and Derek couldn't contain their laughter. Derek started waving from the window of the helicopter, and Lee reached out to see if she could touch anyone as their machines jolted closer to hers. Cove, on the other hand, just gripped the side of the car. He was struggling to remain in the seat, looking very uncomfortable. You tried to encourage Cove. It was terrible seeing how unhappy Cove was with this. You wondered if there was anything you could do to make him feel better. Don't worry, we all look ridiculous on these things. Cove's concentration was broken when he automatically looked in your direction. You thought you caught him rolling his eyes at your words. Are you worried you're gonna fall off? Cove shook his head, but you felt like you were going in the right direction. I know people always talk about how tall you are, but you're not a giant. Some people are 7 feet tall. Cove looked at you, clearly fighting a smile, but his hands were still gripping his ride like this life depended on it. Okay, if you do fall, I'll jump off this and make a bigger scene, I promise. That thought finally broke him into a laugh, and his smile remained for the rest of the ride. Soon all rides came to a stop and the group dismounted. Derek looked absolutely pleased at the conclusion of this pit stop. Then you noticed something out of the corner of your eye. You tilted your head to look directly at it, and you burst into laughter. What's funny? You turned back to your group and nodded in the direction of where you were looking. Isn't that one of those machines that takes dollars and gives quarters back? The kind that exists for people who don't have quarters on hand? Everyone's head moved that way and saw that you were right. Derek chuckled awkwardly. That's exactly what that is.
Oh.
We're kinda dumb. We have to be to miss that this whole time.
Come on, let's just put that behind us. There's still places open. We haven't been everywhere yet.
Totally.
Here, here.
You moved along from one stop towards your next, still jovial from the experience. Shortly into your walk, Lee ran over to a nearby trash can and tossed her smoothie cup. Derek went after her and threw his cup away. You followed suit and got rid of your empty cup too. Cove was the last to throw his cup away. He took one final sip, making sure he got every last drop. The clock inched closer to 7 p.m. as you all made your way back to the directory. It was hard to believe how fast the day went by.
So...
Where do you think your mom ended up today? We didn't see her anywhere. I don't know. She's just like that.
Ooh, it's a mystery.
Despite having vanished for the entire trip so far, when 7 p.m. hit, you spotted Kyra coming right over, waving cheerily. As soon as she was close enough, she pinched Cove's cheek.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, baby and friends. Hi, Mom. He pushed her hand back with one hand and rubbed his cheek with the other. Did you have a good day, gang?
Yeah. Today was awesome. We did so much.
Not bad.
It was fun. You really enjoyed your day. I love how I can say I didn't enjoy the outing despite, like, everything being, like, really good so far. Like, nah, I hate that whole thing went well. I hate that. I hate when things are good. And there was no hiding your joy. Like the others, you were smiling ear to ear. Because today went so much better than you expected.
I'm glad we came here.
That I do.
I want to hear all about it during the ride back. She clapped her hands together once, making sure she had everyone's undivided attention. Speaking of that, we better head out. Cliff must be missing us, and you've got to be starving. It's dinner time, and you haven't eaten yet. Yeah. Everyone followed her lead and started walking out the door to the parking lot. Something about what Kyra said felt off to you. There were tons of places to eat. It's a mall. You could have had dinner. You wondered if it was just a good guess, but you could feel your eyebrows raise when it dawned on you. She might have been keeping an eye on you after all. That was actually pretty slick. If she hadn't made that comment, you never would have known. You found it hard not to be impressed. Not once could you recall even catching a glimpse of her hanging around, though now that you think about it, not seeing her ever was suspicious in and of itself. Shaking off those thoughts, you caught up with the others. Keeping the same seating arrangement as earlier, you all piled into the car and started heading back to the store. The drive went by without any problems, as it was filled with chatter about the various things everyone saw around the mall. Soon enough, you'd arrived at your destination. It was a much faster trip, considering this time Kyra knew where she was going. Collier had his stupid bagel! There you are! You should watch the VOD later, because I may or may not have said that I missed that you were here bullying me. Oh, I'm so glad the first thing you said was bullying me. Oh, it's good to see you here. Hearing the light jingle of bells from the front door being opened, Cliff poked his head out from the back. Those words are accidentally reversed. He lit up at seeing who was here. Oh god, I always see Cove as being so tall, and then you see his dad, and it's like, well, never mind. Hey, sport, did everyone have a good adventure? Hi, Dad. We had a blast. Yeah. We found the mall.
Aw.
The mall? Wish I could have joined. He deflated in an exaggerated way, his shoulders sloped. Kyra put a hand on his arm and smiled.
Anywho.
There'll be other times. Are you set here? Almost. Mr. Holden sighed for real, then pulled himself together, standing up straight.
Do you mind?
I just need a little more time to finish up. Will you be alright killing time for a bit longer? It's okay. Yes, sir. No problem, Mr. Holden. We can have fun here. Excellent. What a great group of kids. He gave an approving thumbs up, and Kyra nodded along. I'll give you a hand. I'll give you a hand. I remember the ropes. Why, thank you. They walked side by side to the back room. Before he was out of sight, Cliff stopped and looked over his shoulder. Cliff is long. He a long man. If you leave the shop, don't go far. It's getting late. And then the parents were gone again. Let's go to the docks. They're right down the way. Yeah! Oh, I saw those on the way here and really wanted to check it out. Are you coming, Lewis? All right. With a smile, Cove showed the way. Ah, yes, Bagel, all you missed was us being really super, absolutely platonic with Cove this entire time. Just very, very platonic. So, you know, the usual. Between the warm summer air and the smell of the ocean, you couldn't ask for a better night.
Thanks.
Thanks for letting me come. Me too.
Right?
Right? I'm happy we did this. Today was great. Cove, your mom and dad are really cool. Really? Totally. Cove looked at Lee oddly. He ran a hand through his hair, then his puzzled expression cracked with a chuckle.
I guess.
I guess sometimes they are. You continued walking. Every so often, you would look up at the sky and see several stars poking out between the clouds. Of course, just two heterosexual boys holding hands at the mall. Nothing gay there. Just two heterosexual boys where one just sneakily tries to take the drink from the other almost directly out of his mouth. You know, it just guy friend things. Oh, yeah, exactly. At one point, you noticed that Cove stopped while Lee and Derek kept going on ahead, busily chatting. Initially, you wondered if something was wrong, but you quickly noticed that he still looked to be in good spirits. You decided to hang back with Cove. He gave you a quick acknowledging look when you stopped at his side. You could taste the sea salt as you took a deep breath of the ocean air. Silently, you and Cove watched the ocean for a little while. There was something about the waves that you always found soothing. You couldn't think of a better way to end a busy day. And then it hit you, the wind chime! Oh, that's right. This was the perfect moment. Quickly, you dug the wrapped package out of your bag. Hey, Cove? Hmm? He barely replied. Instead, his focus was mostly on lazily watching the sea. The paper wrapping crinkled as you pushed the package forward, trying to make him realize. He finally caught sight of it and his eyebrows raised up high. Gingerly, Cove accepted the gift. Just seeing the present brought a smile to Cove's face. He carefully opened it and his whole body brightened as he recognized the chime.
Oh my god.
Lewis, you're so... Aww. You suggested that the chime simply made you think of him. I thought it suited you, so I got it. Really? That's all it took? Cove's smile seemed to grow even bigger. He looked sincerely happy. You're way too nice to me. I can't even believe it. He started getting shy over his giddiness and put a hand over his mouth. You were so happy that buying the wind chime was the right call. I'm gonna find a place to hang this. Thanks, Lewis. You're welcome. Let me know where you end up putting it. It'd be helpful to know. You took your wrapped up wind chime out of your bag and held it up, drawing a chuckle from him. Okay, we'll match that way. Yeah. Indirect kissing, that's pretty homosexual. So homosexual, you know. Best buds. Hey! Hello, Legend EX Games. Oh my gosh. Thank you for, like, just popping into, like, all my streams lately. It feels really nice to have, like, a couple of people actually just, like, come every time. You haven't missed much, just us being very straight with Cove. Very straight. We were at the mall and he had a smoothie and we definitely didn't basically try to drink it, like, while the straw was basically still in his mouth. It's just been a real good time here. Anna, okay, perfect. I felt kind of bad because I was like, I don't actually know what your actual name is. I just know your Legend EX Games. Anna, okay, I will mental note that. Remember it. I'm glad you enjoy it. Alright. We just gave him the wind chime, right, the gift we got him today. Not much time later, Derek's chipper voice caught your attention. You and Cove both turned your gaze down the pier. What are you doing there, slowpokes? Get over here!
Hey!
Hey, come on! You looked at Cove the same time he looked at you. You grinned and nodded your head in the direction of your friends. He gave you a small smile in return. Your footsteps echoed against the wooden planks of the dock and into the night as you ran to catch up. There we go. I downloaded this game because of you and I do love it. I'm so glad to hear that. It really is, like, so good. I honestly didn't know almost anything about our life before playing it on this stream. Like, legitimately, all I knew was the stuff I've done for Jeremy and that it was, like, really customizable. All I knew. And then playing it myself now, I'm, like, low-key actually getting, like, addicted to it. Like, I think about this, like, doing this stream all week because I'm like, oh, yes, I get to play more Our Life on Saturday. I'm so excited. I'm so glad you're loving it too, though. It's so good. Okay. Which one should we do next? We got growing, summer work, dinner, road trip, or soiree, the mysterious one. I don't know which one to do. Somebody else pick for me. I can't pick. I'm terrible with choices. Which is ironic because I'm playing a visual novel, which is like 90% choices. Road trip? Alright, we'll do road trip then. Off we go. Also, apologies if I'm talking while I'm eating. I got some cookies that I want to eat. Cal's will to live is hinging on Cove Holden. Exactly. Our character in this Lewis is just head empty, only Cove, 24/7. Even though you were awake, the sun had barely peeked its head above the horizon, and the sky above was still dark, though lightening by the minute. Usually you wouldn't be up so early, especially during summer vacation, but today was different. Today, instead of the lazy days you were used to, everything around you was a flurry of activity as both your family and Cove's prepared for what lay ahead. Because, parked in the street just outside your house, was a massive RV camper, so big you couldn't even see Cove's house behind it. Man, I wanna go on like an RV trip someday, like just with like people I know. Once the world isn't terrible anymore, I want to do that someday. The only kind of thing I've ever done in any way similar to that is we used to go camping when I was a kid with like a pop-up camper, so like we just like tow it behind the car, and then it just like unfolds into like a room with like a couple beds and stuff. It was cool, but not exactly like RVing, which is what I more so wanna do someday. How dare I eat cookies without sharing? Okay, look. Here, I don't want to give you one that I've taken a bite out of, so here, I'll take this one. Okay, are you ready for it? It's coming. You gotta take it, okay? It's coming. Wow, you took it right from my hands. Now we are eating cookies together. Immersive stream. I hope you all took the cookie when I gave it to you, because if you didn't, well, then it's on the ground now. I'm so sorry. I warned you. Okay, good. You did get it. Munch, nibble. Okay, good. Good. I'm glad. You didn't? Well, I gave you warning, Alex. If you didn't catch it, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, man. His parents had rented the RV for a few days to take him on a short road trip to see the Redwood National Park. You glanced at Cove, who was standing nearby in the scene in front of him. The prospect of the trip had to be a mixed bag for him, but it was only 3 days, so it seemed he was dealing with it as best he could. Especially now that you and your family were joining them. You weren't sure exactly how it happened. You knew your parents and Cove spoke to each other often, and somewhere along the way, plans were made after Cliff offered to share the space. The parents all thought it was a fantastic idea. You had already gotten a good look inside while helping to load everything in, and you had to admit that while it was a really big car, fitting that many people inside was going to be snug.
Let's go.
Move it or lose it, kiddo. Mom bustled past with a cooler in one hand and a large bottle of water under the other. She was upbeat for this early in the morning. Aw, Ma. Ma, however, seemed to be on the other side of the wavelength. She followed behind her wife, dragging her feet on every step. I'm going to need a whole jug of coffee once we hit the road. You could relate to Ma. It was way too early. You yawned and rubbed your eyes, still sleepy from the early morning wake-up call. The air outside was still damp from dew, and that helped make you a bit more alert. Ooh, there we go. And then, at the end of the chain, came your sister. She had a bone to pick before the trip officially started. Her rattling off critiques added some level of normalcy to everything new going on. I don't get why I can't sleep in the bed tonight. Lewis is the youngest, and I'll never fall asleep in that loft. I want to sleep in the loft. I don't know what you're talking about. We're trying to make things fair on everyone. If you want to play the older card, you should be offering to take the loft both nights. It's important for big siblings to make sacrifices for their younger ones. Elizabeth huffed, not happy with that answer in the slightest, and folded her arms, leaning back against the side of the RV. The trip plans had been nailed down prior, the sleeping arrangements included. Elizabeth still held on to her objections with them. There was a main area of the RV with a couch, loft, and some floor space. At the end of the car was a room with a large bed. Your moms were sharing the bed. Kyra was on the couch, and father and son intended to sleep on the floor. The adults determined you and Elizabeth would switch between the small loft above the driver's seat and sharing the bed with moms. But I want the loft. Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad that's an option, because I want the loft, dang it. I was always the kid who wanted the top bunk. Probably because I'm so short, it made me feel tall for once. You were excited to sleep in a loft. It would be a new experience for you and sounded kind of cool. All right, you lot. Does everyone have everything they need? We're heading out in 5 minutes, so now's the time to double check. You don't want to forget something important. At the word, Elizabeth yelped and dashed back into the house, her bedhead hair bouncing behind her as she went. Ma came over and gave you a smile, setting her hands on her hips. Why is my phone buzzing? Oh, it's just a... Whoops. It's a notification for Crispin Freeman's voice acting class, but I don't have the money to take that right now, so I'm not going to book myself for it. How about you, Lewis? Do you have all your clothes packed? Toiletries, deodorant, floss? Anything else you can think of? Do I have everything? Do I trust Lewis to have everything? To be fair, Lewis would be a meticulous packer, so yes, he would have it all. Wanting to make sure everything was organized and ready to go, you had packed the night before and set your alarm too. Yep, I'm good. That's great. We'll have to wait for the ones who weren't as organized, but we'll be heading off shortly. I would not be like Lewis. I guarantee you I would have forgot 5 things. With a few minutes left to spare before leaving, you mentally went over what you had packed for the trip. Clothes, a pillow and blanket, usual day-to-day gear for most people. You also had more personal things, such as... Oh, these are all good things. Man, how do I pick? Portable gaming console, yes. The drive to Redwood National Park would take an entire day one way, so you wanted to make sure you had a way to entertain yourself while traveling there and back. And... pencils and paper, yes. You had to be prepared in case you saw something to sketch at the park, or if you had to write anything down, or if you just needed to pass time just doodling. And... we'll say I brought my camera too. It was just a little pocket camera you'd gotten from your mom's, but you couldn't miss the opportunity to take some new snaps. And that was everything. Hey, let me take that for you, Lewis. I'll stow it in the RV. There's a few spots left it'll fit. You let Kyra take your bag and gave her a grateful smile. With nothing left to do, you watched the others getting ready for the trip. Kyra and Cliff seemed to have the most energy of anyone. They were finishing packing the suitcases away while your moms had gone to lock up the house. They high-fived whenever another one got crammed into the storage compartments of the vehicle. Even though your own parents were more low-key than Cove's, you could tell they were both excited for the trip. It had been a while since your family had been away anywhere together. Take a sip of water. I hope you're all remembering to hydrate. Very important. Elizabeth skipped toward the RV, a bag slung over her shoulder, and you were surprised to see she seemed more optimistic about the whole ordeal now. Oh no. What is she planning? Usually she wasn't one to exit the confines of her room unless it was for TV or food or to leave her family behind to be with friends. You would have thought 3 whole days packed in an RV with 6 others would be too much for her, but it was a nice surprise. You supposed any vacation was better than no vacation in her mind. Cove had been pretty quiet so far, and, more than anything, seemed to be overwhelmed by the situation. You were curious about the RV. You never stayed overnight in one before and wanted to know what it'd be like. Soon the miscellaneous remaining tasks had all been wrapped up. Ooh, look at this RV background. Oh, that's the little loft. See, yeah, dude, I would want to sleep in the loft every time. Are you kidding me? Because that's one of the perks of being small. Fit up there, but... Psh. Elizabeth can have the bed with Mom. Like, I want to sleep in that loft the whole time. Alright. Everyone piled into the RV. It was officially time for the trip to start. And it did. Cliff took the first shift driving. He cautiously navigated the massive car out of the narrow neighborhood streets. It was touch and go for the first part of the journey. Your moms and Kyra were all huddled at the front trying to get a view of how much space they had on each side. There was a sense of relief when the first long leg of the trip was hit, and the RV would only need to go down one stretch of highway for miles. The mom group cleared out of the driver's area, leaving Cove's dad to it, taking more comfortable seats around the main cabin. You felt like you could finally relax now, too. Time slipped by as morning faded away. Before you realized it, the engine of the RV came to a stop, but only halted for a few moments as Cliff climbed out from the driver's seat and Mom took over. Ma was sitting shotgun, giving Mom a quick tutorial on the controls, as it was her first time driving anything this large. Cliff groaned as he headed towards the rest of you, stretching his arms above his head and loosening up his muscles. We're making good progress. Yeah, maybe you should take a nap in the back for a while. That was a long haul you just did, and I know you're on less sleep than usual. Cliff waved a hand, that trademark grin of his slipping into place.
Nah.
I don't need sleep. I still got a few miles in the old tank. He flexed an arm, showing off his muscles to drive the point about how resilient he was home, and Kyra rolled her eyes in amusement. Dad, everyone has to sleep. Cove shook his head at the tough guy act, though Cliff simply chuckled and ruffled his son's hair. So, are you going to be driving again anytime soon, Mr. Holden? I want to know so I can prepare. Did anyone pack some rope? I might need it. There's no seatbelts up here. Elizabeth called down from where she was lounging in the lofts above the driving compartment. She was laying on her back, her hair falling over the side and swinging around as the RV started up again and took off down the road. A bag of potato chips was balanced on Elizabeth's stomach, and she tossed a couple in her mouth right as Cliff held a hand to his chest, pretending to be offended by the remark. What? Whoops. Close that. Kyra laughed lightheartedly.
Don't worry about that.
Lucky for all of us, we have enough adults to cover the shifts today. He won't be driving again until tomorrow. Enough time to write up my last will and testament. Not you, too. The rest of the group laughed while Cliff pouted, and you gave him an apologetic shrug. Mom then shouted in her seat to join in the conversation, a playful smile tilting her lips. What I'm more worried about is this old monster getting us there and back again before falling apart. It looks as though it was built in the early 90s. It must be older than some of the occupants. That's just the aesthetic of the decor. It's not that old, I think. Did you ask what year the model was before you rented it? Kyra wrinkled her nose in thought.
Hey!
Yes, I did. I just can't remember what the answer was. Cliff chuckled at her, while the rest of you let out a collective sigh. The RV lurched a little as you picked up speed, and you held onto the ladder to the loft to keep your balance. You felt something graze the top of your head before a weight settled on your pink hair. When you tilted your chin up carefully to look, you heard the rustling of the bag of chips and realized Elizabeth had rested the end of it on your head. She gestured to the opening, silently offering to share her snack. Of course, I took a handful. Reaching up, you scooped up some chips. After that, the weight of the packet left your scalp. You happily munched away as the conversation continued on, and you got closer and closer to your destination. The day flew by, with the group of you chatting, playing games, and passing the time together before finally arriving at the park and setting up for the night. Ma was closing the windows while everyone got ready for bed, saying goodnight to the others as she made her way to the back room. You had You had all had dinner together while still driving, and some hours after had arrived at your destination and found a spot to park in the rest of your stay. Spot to park in for the rest of your stay, I should say. Giving a look across the front of the RV, you noticed almost everyone there was already dozing off where they were, with Cove having completely fallen asleep curled up in the passenger seat. Aw. So cute. He's such a cute lad. Him's adorable, you know. Oh, Cove. Oh, Cove, you cute. He must have done so while Kyra was driving the last leg, and they had decided not to disturb him. Kyra herself was the only one up there who was still awake, flipping through a magazine next to a portable light from her spot on the couch. It seemed Mr. Holden needed to sleep despite his claims. You followed your moms into the back room and closed the door behind you before crawling onto the bed between them. It was a queen-sized bed, so there was enough space for the three of you together without too much squishing.
Good night.
Get a good rest, Lewis. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow.
That's fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the bushwalk in the morning. It's been a long time since I was out in nature like this. There will be plenty for us to see. You stayed awake for a little while longer while your moms whispered about the parks and forests in general. With the sound of their voices in the background, eventually you nodded off to sleep. The next morning, you were up bright and early preparing for the day ahead. You had an okay sleep. It was nothing compared to your bed at home, but at least you didn't have to sleep on the floor, so you couldn't complain too much. Ma whined a bit about the firmness of the mattress, but Mom had only encouraged her to enjoy this trip while she could. While looking for a spot to get ready, you had some trouble finding a space of your own as the others were doing the same thing. Cove was perched on top of the counter, brushing his hair and tucking up his legs every time someone wanted to move past. The parents were checking, double-checking, and triple-checking that you had everything, to the point where you had stopped listening to them altogether. You knew you wouldn't be returning to the RV at all that day, but by the look of the backpacks that were packed up and ready to go, you doubted anything was missing from them. It didn't take much longer until you all exited the RV in a bustle and headed into Redwood National Park.
Wow.
Oh man, this reminds me of the one time I went to Vancouver when I was younger. They've got those it counts as a rainforest, I believe, although like it's not a jungle, but like it's a like boreal rainforest. I can't remember, but the trees were like ridiculously huge trees, and I accidentally found somebody's geocaching box while I was there, which was kind of cool. That's how I learned what geocaching was. Vancouver's neat. I'd love to live there, but it's like the Canadian equivalent of California, so cost of living is kind of disgusting. Probably never gonna do that. I can dream, though. Cove had his head tilted up toward the canopy of trees, his eyes wide as he took in the massive trunks on either side of you. You knew that the redwood trees here were considered the tallest trees on Earth, but you weren't prepared for exactly how huge they would be in person. Smile, you two. You spun just in time for Kyra to snap a picture of you and Cove together before she pointed her camera at Cliff, trying to get a shot despite his weak protest that she should just enjoy the moment. Your parents were walking behind the group a little, with Mom telling Ma about some information she had read about the park in a brochure. Ma listened happily while looking around and taking in the sights, every now and then asking a question or making a joke about something Mom had said. You smiled at them, thinking your mom must have read a lot of pamphlets to know so much about the park. Maybe you should come and work here as a tour guide if you know so much about the place. I zoned out for 2 seconds and tuned back in, and he's ranting about Vancouver. Okay, Cal, we get it. You're Canadian. I'm sorry, man. Look, I can't help it if I'm Canadian. Vancouver's cool, okay? It's not my fault I live in, like, the boring part of Canada. God, Manitoba. Manitoba's, like, so boring. I don't know. I guess Saskatchewan is kind of lamer. I guess. Sorry if anyone from Saskatchewan ends up ever seeing this. But can you blame me? But, like, I mean, because, like, you know, like on the east side, you've got, like, the Maritimes and all that interesting stuff. On the west side, you've got Vancouver, or if you don't want to go that far, you've got, like Calgary and Edmonton and that kind of thing. And, like, there's mountains over on that side, and then up north, the far north is, like, really cool. And then you got everyone in the middle, where it's either a lot of forest, and, like, not cool forest, just, like, regular forest, a lot of empty, flat nothingness, or sometimes, if you're really lucky, hills. It's boring. So I will rant about how cool Vancouver is all day, thank you very much. Elizabeth teased, earning a squeeze on the nose from your mom. She seemed to be enjoying herself, but you thought that might just be because she was amused by everyone else's reactions. You were fascinated by the sensations surrounding you. Bird calls echoed all around you, and once or twice something would rustle in underbrush. You strained your eyes through the trees for any sign of wildlife and managed to catch a glimpse of a rabbit bounding through the foliage. The adults had decided on some casual nature walks rather than any serious hiking. You strolled along at your own pace, taking in the scenery. Elizabeth sped up a little, smirking at Cove as she fell into place between the two of you, and immediately you could tell by her expression she was gonna say something taunting. I can't believe our families are actually on vacation together. She threw her arms out, speaking with a genuine sense of bewilderment. I would have joked about something like this happening, but now I'm not sure I want to give them any more ideas. Cove smiled at her, even if it was a little awkwardly, and continued walking along. Just watch. Next year they'll be talking about their next new amazing idea. She put on a fake voice, deeper than her own. We should just sell our houses and move in together. Think of how much we'd save on the mortgage. Cal, don't bully me for being Canadian. Also, Cal nerds out about Canada. Yeah? So what? You want to fight me about it? Bagel? It was clear that Elizabeth was being sarcastic. Cove simply shook his head, not really bothered by her. You supposed he was used to it by this point. But seriously, they really do act like we're a single family just because we live across the street from each other. Elizabeth gave you and Cove a look, her eyes glinting with mischief as she leered at you.
Yeah.
Oh! Oh, really? Oh, really, sister? You're going there, huh? We are platonic, straight friends, Elizabeth. Maybe one day we'll be related. Legally, anyway. Elizabeth, how dare. You do want to fight? Square up? You're ripped? Okay. Let's go, Bagel. We'll take it. We'll take it outside. Later, when this is over. I'll schedule in our fight. I'll get back to you in my schedule. She said it as though she was a gossipy old lady. She snapped. Oh, she did. She did. Wow, Cove. Oh shit, he just throwing it back at her. Maybe. I guess you and me could get married, Elizabeth.
What?
What? Me? Yeah, that way Lewis would be my brother-in-law. That would be fun. Elizabeth stuck her tongue out at Cove as if the very idea were ridiculous. Oh great, so me and Cove both are just like, we're so platonic. We're both in denial. How sweet. I'll marry you, Cove. You were embarrassed. You were embarrassed. Why did she always have to say things like that? It wasn't fun and she knew it. After no further replies, your sister walked ahead. You and Cove swapped uncomfortable looks. The day continued on, with plenty to see and experience. You passed a few different activities that you would have liked to try out if you had the time, such as kayaking and rock climbing, but Ma said that you would have to wait for another trip. There was a little stream during the... Hey, a little stream! Like this one! I'm sorry. There was a little stream during the walk that you sat beside. That was a stupid joke. And set out a picnic for lunch, nibbling on a selection of fruits, sandwiches, and chips. Next week, high noon. Okay. I'll double check my schedule that we'll be good and free to fight next week, high noon. I think we should be clear. Various birds flew by overhead, and you made a game out of guessing the species that were hanging out in the trees nearby. You even managed to get a couple of them right, including the kingfisher that grabbed half of Cliff's sandwich. You were glad you got to do this in the end. It was definitely a special experience, one you'd remember for a long time to come. You smiled to yourself, committing the sights and sounds to memory. Your group made it back to camp just as the sun was setting in the sky, and the stars were appearing one by one. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. You traded stories of what you thought while you were eating dinner, then afterwards you pitched in to help clean up. You, along with Elizabeth and Cove, got to head back to the RV early and spend some time together while the parents stayed outside longer. It was nice to have the space to yourselves after the cramped journey there, and while Elizabeth had locked herself in the back room with her headphones, you and Cove were left in the main lounge area. Yeah, you hung out with Cove, obviously. We might as well get comfortable. Who knows how long they'll be out for. Oh, he wearing the cute jacket. You took a seat on the sofa while Cove sat down on the other end, tapping his fingers against his knees. You know, I hardly ever see you wearing a jacket, especially in summer.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I like wearing as few layers as possible. It's easier that way. Uh-huh. We already know you like showing us your clavicle, Cove. We know. We know. We know the real reason why you don't like wearing layers. I'd rather be cold than extra hot. It's kind of a pain to carry extra clothes. I can't speak. It's kind of a pain to carry extra clothes around. My parents made me bring this jacket. Yeah, it's a mood. I'd rather be cold than extra hot, too. I'm the same way. They're bulky and heavy, and they usually make me feel too warm. Cove smiled lightly at you and nodded. I've noticed. Yeah, okay, we're gonna ask him that. You asked him what he liked to see others wear. Hey, what kind of things do you think are nice to see on another person? Cove's eyes widened at the question, and his defensive reply seemed to slip out before he'd had the chance to have a proper think about it. Oh no, Cove, no. Honey, that's the wrong answer. Oh, Cove. Nothing. That was funny. You laughed out loud and Cove gave you a dry look.
Come on.
Come on, that's not what I meant. You composed yourself and sat up straighter, all traces of laughter disappearing from your face. Answer with what you do mean, then. Isn't there anything at all you think looks good when you see it on someone? Cove mumbled under his breath, and you couldn't quite catch the words. He was having a difficult time with the subject. I swear I won't make fun of you. That's not really it. Cove seemed pretty grumpy about your statement, but you weren't ready to give up so easily. Please? Cove sighed and looked down at his lap where he was fidgeting with his hands, still reluctant to give an answer.
I don't know.
You made an unimpressed sound over how things were going. Are you sure? Fine. I guess I kind of like ankle bracelets. Ankle bracelets? Yeah, everyone can wear a pretty bracelet. Wrist ones are cool too.
but they're pretty normal. There's something fun or flirty about ankle bracelets. It's more special or something. I don't know how to explain it. Cove brushed his knuckle against his cheek awkwardly, seeming unsure where to go from here. So you think they're sexy? Thanks for answering.
You're welcome.
When he said nothing else, you took a moment to gather your own thoughts. You had to get an anklet on ASAP. Maybe you'd wear your anklets more now. No reason. Just 'cause. Cove, hey Lewis, buddy friend, how does my clavicle look for the ladies, of course? Yes, exactly. I'm just, like, objectively speaking, do you think that my clavicle's hot, maybe, Lewis? I'm just, like, if you were, like, speaking from somebody else's point of view. You had a couple of different ones at home. With this new knowledge, you might slip them into your daily routines in the future. Your daily outfits in the future. Definitely not intentionally. Cove looked away again, feeling awkward about this. You gave him an understanding look, and soon enough he was smiling like normal again.
All right.
Well, now you have to answer too. What do you like for another person? Muscles, pretty hair, glasses, blue eyes. Pretty hair. Cove chuckled as though you had said something highly amusing. Good luck. I hope you find someone. With that, the topic abruptly dropped off. Cove officially had no more to say on it. The parents all arrived soon after, each of them climbing into the RV and finding some place to sit down and rest their legs. Elizabeth, having heard the commotion, came out from the room for the first time since arriving and joined you all. You spent the evening chatting and playing a few games, enjoying the last evening of the trip together. Bedtime arrived within the blink of an eye. As the group hunkered down from your bed, your mom did a final round to be sure nothing had been left behind. She explained that Cliff was going to start driving early in the morning, like on the first day, but would be letting everyone else in the group sleep. There wouldn't be a need for all of them to get up. My man did not just say ankle bracelets were flirty. Cove, you're 13. You don't know what flirty is. It's okay, Cove. You're young yet. You can figure yourself out. Ankle bracelets are flirty. You, as well as everyone else, were confident you had it all packed up inside the RV, which meant it was time to get some rest before the journey home tomorrow. Your moms and Elizabeth said goodnight, heading to the back room while you climbed up to the loft. Cove and his family got situated below in the previously set arrangement. You tried to get comfortable as a million thoughts were running through your mind. It was hard to believe that the trip was practically over, and before you knew it, you'd be back in your own bed at home. You enjoyed the mini-adventure. It was short, that was for sure, but you got to see and do so much during your time here. All in all, it was a nice break away from home. The minutes ticked by silently. It didn't take long for the soft snores of Cliff and Kyra to drift up to you. They were asleep now. You wondered if Cove was still awake and decided to poke your head out from the loft to find out. You blinked through the dark. Looking down the hall, you noticed Cove laying on his back, his eyes staring straight up at the ceiling. His seafoam hair was spread out on his sleeping bag. He must have felt you watching him because suddenly his eyes locked on yours. It was difficult to see much in the dim light, but you could make out the crooked smile on his face well enough. You grinned back at him. Cove shrugged in his bed while still smiling, or at least you thought he did. You then gestured for him to come over. Cove looked unsure about it, but you were happy to see him slowly start to sit up anyway. His sleeping bag rustled as he moved, though he tried to go slow and froze up like a deer in headlights every time he made a sound, watching his parents for any sign of movement. Eventually, he managed to maneuver around his sleeping dad and made it to the ladder, standing at the bottom rung when he looked up at you and whispered, "What?" Aww. You invited him up to the loft. Do you want to come up? His eyes widened just so. You could only tell because he had come to where you were. Cove glanced behind him quickly at his sleeping parents before turning back to you. Okay. Come over, my parents aren't awake. Whoop. Sorry. You broke out into a grin and scooched back as far as you could, making space for Cove to crawl in. He was very tall, so it wasn't a great fit for him, but he managed to squeeze himself in. Luckily, you were short enough to leave him with some room. Aww. You laid down next to each other on your sides, face to face. He got under the blanket a bit. One of his arms was nestled under his head for comfort. The other had nowhere to go and was rested alongside his chest on the floor of the loft. Cove spoke to you softly. So, what am I doing here? I thought we could hang out. Cove's eyebrows dipped. He probably thought you had something more important than that going on. I'm gonna say you can sleep here instead of the floor. Cove raised an eyebrow, not having expected you to bring that up now. It isn't a big deal for us to both be in the loft, right? Yeah, that's not some huge thing. We've shared 1,000,000 times by now, and usually they're the ones encouraging us. Cove gestured in the direction of the parents, and you nodded in agreement. They had always tried to put you and Cove together ever since you were little. I wonder how much trouble we'll be in if we get caught. It wouldn't be nearly as much if we would have been in my as we would have been in if my mom's found out you snuck into my room for the night at the start of summer. He winced just imagining it. I still can't believe I did that and didn't get caught. It was a very dramatic morning. You could easily picture his frantic escape in your mind's eye. You're kind of a troublemaker, aren't you, Cove?
I mean...
No, I don't think so. Cove trailed off, and he seemed to be lost in his own thoughts. Hey, do you remember the very first time I slept over at your house? God, I really do regret not doing the rest of the kids stuff before this. Because, I wanted to see Jeremy, but now that I know the way the game reacts to the stuff you've done previously, I'm like, man, how many things am I missing because I didn't do, most of the kids stuff? Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm gonna have to go back and do that at some point. Oh, God. I'm going to be playing Our Life on stream for the rest of my life, and you know what? I'm okay with that. You laughed quietly and nodded, the memory coming back to mind so vividly. A smile grew on this face. I think they met on his face. I left in the middle of the night. I hated being in a different place back then. Now I fall asleep in your house when I'm not supposed to because I couldn't help it.
Sorry.
I'm sorry I was like that. I just couldn't take any more changes when I was little. You comforted him. You don't have to apologize. That wasn't your fault. You smiled at Cove, showing that it wasn't a problem, and he gratefully returned it with one of his own. You spent the rest of the night smushed up in the little loft together, whispering about your past memories, trying not to giggle too loud at the silly things you'd gotten up to together over the years. Eventually, the chatting trailed off when you noticed Cove had drifted off to sleep. You followed soon after. When you woke up the next morning, it was to the rumble of the RV as it traveled the long journey home. You quickly noticed that you weren't as warm as you had been during the night, and when you checked next to you, Cove was gone. Blinking sleepily, you peeked over the edge of the loft to find out where he had gone. Maybe he'd snuck back to his spot on the floor during the night? However, you soon noticed him sitting on the couch, talking quietly with his mom. His head hung in embarrassment. Your movement gave you away, and Kyra suddenly looked up and caught your eye. She simply smiled amusedly at you, and it was obvious what had happened. Cove hadn't gotten away with it. They found him there in the loft, and then you woke up while he was trying to explain. You knew it was going to be a long, long time before you lived this one down, if you ever did. Soon your moms and Elizabeth emerged from their room, dressed and ready for the day of travel. Simp. Yeah. Listen, we all know that Lewis is in love with Cove in this, there is no denying that. He may not be able to acknowledge it, and Cove may not be able to acknowledge it, but I mean, come on. Let's be real here. You spent most of the day hanging out together in the RV, savoring the last few hours of vacation. Kyra suggested a few different travel games she used to play with Cove when he was younger, and you all had a great time competing against each other. A little later in the day, you tried to talk to Cove about what happened in the loft, but he simply apologized and changed the subject. It was a bit too much for him to try speaking on, especially right now. You understood. Yeah, because our parents definitely think that the two of us probably were, like, making out up there like a bunch of dumbass 13-year-olds. Like, you know that's what their parents think happened. Jesus. When the RV finally pulled into your street, it was well into the night, and you were looking forward to crawling into your own bed after the last few days away. Everyone else must have been feeling the same, because it was mutually agreed that unpacking and cleaning the RV would wait until morning. Once home again, you went straight up to your room and dropped onto your bed, shoes and all. No, you didn't. Shoes in the house? What is this, America? Not a chance. No shoes. Headcanoning that away. Just straight up, you missed being near Cove. Yeah, whatever, we're this far anyways, I'm just gonna say it. You missed being near Cove. The two of you had basically been living together for 3 days. It was nice. But you knew that it wouldn't be the last time the two of you would spend time together, and that thought comforted you. With those last few thoughts of drifting through your mind, it wasn't long before you dozed off to sleep. Tomorrow, life would go on like normal. Ah, oh, cute. Alright, do we want to do one more? One more? Does anyone know if any of these are shorter? Or are they all like the same length? The wave one felt shorter, admittedly, but I don't know. If y'all are tired, though, we can wait till next time. I don't want to play if everybody wants to go to sleep. But I kind of do want to do one more. What do y'all think? Is there any that anyone is dying to see? Any that anyone really, really wants to see? Because we got growing, dinner, summer work, and soiree. I've been told soiree is better at the end of the summer, so I'm going to avoid doing that one, I think. But we could do one of the other two. I don't know. Bagel, Alex, anyone else? You're sleepy, but you can stick around. I don't want to keep you up if you are sleepy. Don't stay up just for me. And I don't know how long these are because I haven't played it, so I don't know if one of them's going to be like another hour or if we can like if one of them maybe is like a half-hour one. I don't know. What do y'all think? If we do one, haha, does anyone have a pick? Because once again, I am terrible at choices and can never pick anything for myself, naturally. You don't care one way or the other. Alright. Well, I'll do one more then. I'll go with summer work for fun. Or, well, are the DLC ones longer? I don't know. I can't tell. I guess we'll go with growing. We'll growing. If it gets too long and y'all end up getting sleepy, then we can cut it short. But we'll go for it. We'll power through. Let's see. All right. Early one afternoon, you found yourself in the living room with your family. It was another one of those summer days where it felt too hot to go outside, but it was too uncomfortable to do anything inside either. The air conditioner was cranked up as far as you could negotiate it, but everyone was still being pretty lazy. You, your moms, and sister were lounging around while the TV blared on in the backdrop, ignored by all of you. You specifically were sitting cross-legged on the floor. You looked at the windows at the backyard, not that there was anything of particular interest to watch. Elizabeth broke the silence with a loud groan. You glanced over. She was lying on her back over the couch, massaging her calf with one hand. I feel terrible. I'm dying in this house and my legs hurt. Mom looked up from the magazine she'd barely been flipping through and frowned, concerned. Could you have strained them somehow? Elizabeth flailed briefly, then flopped onto her side with a heavy sigh. I don't know, it just hurts.
Sweetie.
Oh, sweetheart. Ma got up from her seat at the kitchen table and walked over to your sister. She did a light pat on Elizabeth's shoulder sympathetically. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Maybe it's growing pains? You could be taller by next fall. Elizabeth scoffed. She didn't look impressed by Ma's assessment. I'd rather be my height forever than deal with this. Mom walked over too, leaning over the back of the couch. Kids, they grow up so fast. Soon Elizabeth will have a home of her own. Maybe even with a nice husband and some kids if she feels like it. She sniffed loudly and wiped her eye, but you could tell it was just a bit. You tilted your head. Even though you knew Elizabeth liked guys, it was hard to imagine her with a boyfriend or husband. She only seemed invested in hanging out with her group of friends, not chasing after boys. Mom must agree with you because she shook her head.
No.
Let's not exaggerate, she's still practically a child. But if you ever do pursue romance, Elizabeth, you can come talk to me about it. Definitely, we're always willing to lend an ear. Elizabeth's features contorted in disgust.
No.
No way, I'm not talking to my moms about that. Mom's jaw dropped and she gasped in an exaggerated display of shock. Her hand came up to rest against her chest. Ma only grinned. She didn't look offended by Elizabeth's quick response at all. It wouldn't be so bad to come to us. I know what it's like to have a crush on a pretty boy or two. I don't, but I can listen anyway. Mom snorted at her own joke while Ma burst into giggles. They were having a little too much fun at Elizabeth's expense. Elizabeth certainly wasn't feeling the amusement because she rolled her eyes and sat up.
Thanks.
I'm going back to my room. I'd rather melt alone, thanks. She strode off toward the staircase, taking the steps two at a time. Your mom stared after her, then turned to each other with raised eyebrows. Whoops, looks like we scared her off with all that romance talk.
Well?
Oh well, we'll get her next time. You watched them titter with some surprise. Obviously your mom's liked women, but you had no idea that Ma liked guys too. Today was the first time you'd heard her say something like that. Ma, I always thought you only liked ladies. You like guys too? Ma turned to you, happy to bring you into things now that you'd spoken up. She smiled and nodded. That's right, I like both. But I like your mom most out of everyone. She's special. Aww. Aww. They're so cute. Ma's smile turned all soft in the corners like it usually did when she looked at her. She pinched Mom's cheek lightly. Mom reached up to cup a hand over Ma's. Even when Ma stopped pulling her cheek, their hands remained clasped together.
You're fantastic.
Thanks, Lonnie. I think most women have charm, but no one can hold a candle to you.
Aww.
Oh, Pamela. Ma beamed and kissed Mom on the cheek she'd been pinching before. You laughed at their antics. You chuckled quietly at their little back and forth. They were always saying cutesy stuff like that to each other. Ma looked back to you, letting Mom's hand go with a brief squeeze. She settled down next to you, and Mom followed soon after. You know, I'm also here to listen to you whenever you're ready. That offer isn't just for Elizabeth. She bumped her shoulder with yours, a reassuring smile in place. There's no rush, of course. You can take all the time you need to figure out what or who you want.
It's okay.
Don't think you have to stick with whatever you come up with right now, either. Life's nice like that. It can change and you can learn. Mom nodded her agreement. The two of us are happy to hear you out, and we may be able to relate better than you think. Still, we won't push the topic, at least most of the time. She gave Ma the weakest scathing look possible while being unable to stop grinning. You nodded silently. You weren't sure what to say to that. Mom let out another exaggerated sniffle. It didn't take a genius to realize it was fake. First Elizabeth and now you, Louis. Do you have to grow up? Yes. Children tend to do that from time to time. Your parents quickly grew absorbed in their conversation about rearing kids. You took that as your cue to leave, getting up so you could spend some time alone in your room, too. They let you go without problem, so you made your way up the stairs. You let out a sigh once you stepped into your room. It was just as sweltering in there as it was in the living room, possibly even a little warmer. Tweeting while playing Our Life? How could you? I didn't
I didn't tweet while I was playing. Unless I shouldn't. There shouldn't be any other tweets. I tweeted that I was playing Our Life, but I didn't tweet while I was playing Our Life. I don't know what you're talking about, frankly. Now you're making me paranoid, so I'm checking my Twitter just in case. Okay, yeah, no. I don't know what you're talking about, Bagel. You couldn't even open your window since it was hotter outside, and you'd just let the AC out. You dragged your feet as you crossed the room. You checked your current sweltering condition in the mirror as you passed by. You thought back to the conversation you'd had downstairs about growing up and all that. After a moment, you stepped a bit closer to the mirror. You stared into it, then turned away from the surface to look down at yourself. You were definitely growing all right. It was weird thinking about how you were now in comparison to what you'd been when you were younger. When it came to your body, it... If I'm going based on Lewis, he is slender. Evil face. You just wanted to make me paranoid, huh, Bagel? Alright, I see. You shifted to the side, your head still facing forward and continuing the self-evaluation from this viewpoint. Oh, that's right! I forgot that the game lets you actually pick. Oh, that's so sweet. Well, canonically, Lewis, my character, my OC, is trans as well as me. So, at birth, you were assigned female, and what you were born as impacted the way your body grew, but it wasn't really determined who you were. When it came to your figure, for Lewis, your chest was flat now, but you'd likely change at least a little as you get older. You aim to not have breast through hormone therapy. You were young right now and had a body that was still developing, though you were hopeful about the future. You ran a fingertip over your birthmark. That was something that had been consistent for you. You took a step backwards, finished with your impromptu inspection. You locked eyes with your reflection, cocking your head side to side. All things considered... How would Lewis feel about himself? Lewis would probably be a little bit self-conscious. But I don't know if he'd be that self-conscious, though. I'd say you didn't look too bad. A slight smile tugged at your mouth. Sure, maybe you wouldn't be a model or anything, but you weren't half bad. You shook your head roughly, putting thoughts of what you were turning into out of your mind. This wasn't the time to focus on such things. You had to find something to do in this heat. You shuffled over to your bed, collapsing onto the mattress, your brow scrunched up in thought. Time passed slowly, and to your annoyance, possible ideas about what to do were few and far between. You weren't sure how long it had been, but eventually you heard your mom call you from downstairs. Lewis, there's a call for you. Cove wants to come over, is that all right? You perked up at the words, sitting up in bed. You yelled back to her immediately. Yeah! You got to your feet and headed downstairs, eager to see your friend. You needed to go downstairs soon anyway, because your stomach told you it was almost time for lunch. Just as you reached the bottom of the stairs, you saw Mom put the phone back on the receiver. She glanced at Ma, leaning her hip against the kitchen counter.
What a pickle.
Well, here comes trouble. We better prepare ourselves. Ma clicked her tongue in clear disapproval of Mom's words. He's such a good boy. Cove never wants to cause trouble. He can just be a bit thoughtless and impulsive. Oh, I know, he's very sweet, but that's what makes it more of a problem. If a stranger or some kid from school was egging Lewis on to behave badly, I think we can both agree that he'd do the right thing in the end. But if Cove Holden got into a reckless mood and wanted Lewis to be a part of the ride, can we really be certain of what call he'd make?
Yes.
Yes, we can, Pamela. Lewis would do whatever Cove wanted. Wow, my own mom's roasting the hell out of me. Thanks, Mom.
Lonnie.
Your ma giggled freely at Mom's reaction. You worry too much about those two together. Look, all I'm saying is that I haven't forgotten that time when they were kids and Lewis chased after Cove once he ran away. And there was that time they snuck out in the middle of the night when Cove was supposed to sleep over.
Ma just laughed, and she turned away, still snorting. Her eyes met yours. She blinked in surprise, then waved at you with an easy grin. Mom looked over, noticing you at the foot of the stairs as well. Oh, I didn't expect you to come down already, Lewis. I just wanted to let you know what was happening. Do I call Mom out, or do I pretend I didn't overhear the conversation? Let's see. I don't want to be too mean, so if it is me being angry at her, I'm going to take this back. But if it's just me teasing her, I'm going to call her out. Well, if I hadn't come now, then I wouldn't have heard everything you said. Ooh, you got caught, Pam.
What?
What? You were saying things, too. I didn't say anything I wouldn't have told Lewis directly. Oh, you're unbelievable. You shook your head at your parents, even as you fought a blush when you remembered just what they'd been discussing. All right, you got me. I'm sorry for being gossipy and saying that about your friend. I can be bad, too.
Let's go.
Well, get out of your way now. Mom sighed in mock defeat and made her way down the hall. Ma followed after her with a hushed giggle. Now you were alone in the living room, tasked with waiting for Cove. And that was just fine with you. If it hadn't been so hot outside, you would have just visited him at his house a long time ago. You took a seat at the kitchen counter and settled in for the wait. As expected, there was a knock on the door a few minutes later. When you got up and answered it, your neighbor was standing on the other side. He came in once you stepped aside and let him pass, giving a little wave. You greeted him as you typically did, with a low five, with a noogie. Just fucking come here, nerd. It's too warm for hugging. With a wave. You waved back, closing the door behind you with your free hand. Cove sighed and wiped at his face a bit. You noted the sheen of sweat across his brow. He must be glad to be back in an air-conditioned place, even if he only had to walk across the street to get here. Is something going on? Why'd you want to come over? I don't want to do anything. Not when it's like this. He gestured vaguely to the humid air hanging around.
So...
I thought I could at least do nothing with you. All. You thought that was really sweet. Pardon me. His words were nice and expressed real fondness for you, in a strange sort of way, which was usually the case with Cove. Have you had lunch yet? I was going to do it soon. He shook his head.
Not really.
I haven't really felt like eating because of the heat. I probably should have lunch. I didn't have breakfast this morning. Great, we can eat lunch together. Cove nodded, looking content with your suggestion. Okay, cool. As one, you headed into the kitchen. You crossed your arms as you glanced around, wondering what you should scrounge up for a meal. I don't want to eat anything that's warmed up. Is there something cold or not cooked? Yeah. After a bit of back and forth, the two of you concluded that you should raid the fridge and cabinet in order to make sandwiches. With that settled, you had planned to decide on the outside layers first. There was a wide variety to choose from, since everyone in your house had their own favorites. There was white bread, wheat bread, sourdough, mixed grains, gluten-free bread, and pita pockets. That is a lot of bread. Jeez.
Hey.
Could you take the grain one for me? Sure. You reached for the mixed grains, then made your decision. Back then, I probably would have had mixed grains. I mean, realistically, I still just buy rye bread, so yeah. Mixed grains. You wanted mixed grains as well, so you set just that one onto the counter. Then you had to decide what the main direction the sandwich would go in. Oh. Savory sandwich. Something savory would feel like a real meal. As for the specific ingredients, turkey slices, obviously. Oh, but egg salad was an option. No, we're gonna make a whole turkey sandwich with matzah and cheddar and that'll be, and lettuce, and then move on to the condiments. The finishing touch, you intended to top your sandwich with... Yes! Ranch! The ultimate sandwich choice. Ranch. Ranch and mustard, and that was everything. That's just like my actual go-to sandwich that I've just made. Great. You nodded to yourself with a quiet hum, satisfied. The two of you bustled around the kitchen, opening and closing things in order to collect everything you needed for your individual sandwiches. You focused intently on assembling your own for the most part. When you were close to being done, though, you glanced over at your neighbor. Cove was putting his sandwich together delicately, his brows furrowed and tongue sticking out just barely. There were open jars of peanut butter and honey near his plate, as well as a banana peel. So he was making a peanut butter, banana, and honey sandwich on mixed grain bread. I don't think I've ever put peanut butter, banana, and honey together. Each of those separate for sandwiches, like peanut butter, banana, peanut butter, honey. Those are both good. But honey and banana, I mean, that would probably taste good. I can't imagine why that would taste bad. That sounded great. Maybe you'd have one for yourself a different time. Curiosity satiated, you turned back to your plate and finished your own creation. By the time you were done, Cove had already cleaned up his workstation. He turned to face you, studying your sandwich briefly. A small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. You guessed it didn't look inedible to him, at least. Done? Yeah. Cool. He waited as you quickly returned the ingredients and cleaned a few utensils. Then the two of you collected your respective plates. You both agreed on heading upstairs to hang out in your room. Eating in your room? As if that's allowed. You and Cove entered your bedroom while balancing your food on your plates. Nothing fell, so it was a successful trip. Cove took a seat on the ground, stretching out on the hardwood floor in an attempt to keep a bit cooler. He immediately took a big bite of his sandwich, chewed, then hummed happily. This sandwich is really good. At least that's something. At this point, you sat down and started on your own sandwich. You nodded. You were enjoying yours, too. Obviously, you were a pro at making sandwiches. Yeah, that's like all I know how to make. He leaned back on his hands while chewing and glanced around. His every movement was sluggish. Wanna do something? It seemed the plan of not doing anything at all had already worn thin, despite his lack of enthusiasm. Like what? He rolled his head back, looking up at the ceiling. What about tic-tac-toe? You laughed at the suggestion, but went along with it. You put your plate to the side and pulled out some markers and scrap paper. As you laid everything on the floor, he scooted back to make more room in front of you. Cove picked up one of the markers with his right hand while keeping a half slice of sandwich in his left.
All right.
I want to be X's, so you can go first. I think that's fair. Oh, he takes X's. That's the one I pick, Cove. How dare you? I hope it actually lets me play tic-tac-toe because I have a strategy where I can beat him basically no matter what he does. Okay, that works for me. You prepared to note down your first move, your marker hovering over the paper. Aw, yeah. Yeah. After the first round, you were about to take another bite of your sandwich when a thought occurred to you. I wonder if anyone turned off the TV downstairs. The TV. It was on earlier, but no one was really watching. Then everyone started leaving the living room. I know I didn't turn it off. It might still be on downstairs with no one there. Cove smiled crookedly at that.
Oh.
Poor show. Playing with no one around to enjoy it. What was it? You squinted off in the middle distance, trying to recall the show's name. I feel like it was some kind of crime-solving drama. Cove nodded sleepily. His eyes closed, then opened again with some effort. Could you give me any specifics? Maybe I can guess it. Well... You rested your chin on your open palm, groggily thinking as hard as you could. I remember there was a woman with long, blonde hair, I think? She was the one solving crimes, like, as a detective or something. There were scenes in a police station because someone got arrested? You lapsed into silence, the both of you thoughtful. Then Cove chuckled. It wasn't that funny, but you joined in on the laughter anyway.
I don't know.
I don't know what that is. Me neither. I just saw it. Okay, yes, so I want to go here, because then Cove will have to block me. No, wait, I want to go here. Because because then he'll have to block me over there. And then, oh, but wait, no. I know there's a way I can do this. I know there's a way I can beat him. Because, yeah, if I go here... Yes, then he'll have to block me there. No, wait, because I want one to be... Yeah, okay, so I go there. He has to block me there. And then that one would be there. Yes, okay. There's a way to do this. I've done it before. I can't believe I'm thinking this hard at a game of fucking tic-tac-toe. It's gonna end up being a cats game, probably. I'm sure that I've beaten someone diagonal before. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going there. Another round came and went, and Cove grumbled as he readjusted himself. His features were twisted in a grimace. I feel so sticky. I'm gonna be stuck to this floor forever now. No way, I'll peel you off if I have to. I'll have to charge your rent then. Yeah, how much? $50.
What?
I can't afford that. Well, you gotta pay up if you want to stick around. Cove shook his head at your terrible joke and went back to the game instead of answering further. You also returned to the game. Bastard. Bastard. Oh, it's totally gonna be a cats game. Because I go here. He'll just block me there. Yeah, it's a cats game already, I know. Cove spoke up once more, catching your attention. He was peering down at the piece of paper between you, his expression thoughtful.
Huh.
You know, tic-tac-toe is such a weird name for a game. What does it even mean? Maybe it's because the people played it with ticks and tacks. I've always wondered about that. The two of you fell silent as you tried to puzzle out a logical answer. Eventually, you decided to just return to the game. By this point, Cove had finished his sandwich. Yours was almost gone too, but now you were getting thirsty. You brought it up to your neighbor. Should we go downstairs to get some drinks? I was thinking that too, but I don't really want to get up. Me neither. You looked over at him, narrowing your eyes with false suspicion. But hey, what happened to you not being able to get up ever again because you were stuck to the floor? That's still true. I mean, we're not actually going, are we? I only thought about it. You rolled your eyes and dropped the issue, defeated. Cove grinned a little at your disappointment over his victory. Wait, what the heck just happened there? Did I just have a time loop? Wait, what just happened? Wait, hold on. Did I just... Yeah, I was about to say, I was... That... I think we just had a time loop. Okay, alright, cool. Sure, why not? By this point, Cove had finished his sandwich. Yours was almost gone too, but now you're getting thirsty. Should we go downstairs for drinks? I was thinking that too. You looked over at him, but what about being stuck to the floor? Okay, there we go. So we fixed the time loop. I don't know what just happened there. Whoops.
Logic flaw in the game, I guess? Can you imagine if we just got stuck there forever in a time loop playing the same losing game of tic-tac-toe over and over again? That would be terrible. Oh, it's a tie. Were you out of it? I know I didn't try that hard. He smiled at you in an amused way. You somehow weren't surprised by that, despite Cove being the one who suggested the game in the first place. He started to yawn, his hand coming up to cover his mouth. It quickly transitioned into a small laugh. You understood why. Yawning just as he said he was feeling disinterested was kind of a funny coincidence. You laughed along with Cove. Cove just grinned and flopped onto his back, leaving his marker on the floor beside him. I can't speak, haha. You stayed seated, looking your friend over as he stretched himself out. Just casually checking him out. Alright, cool. You really are so tall now. Cove snickered a bit at the random topic. He propped himself up on his elbows to meet your gaze. Why are you even bringing that up? You shrugged. It made perfect sense to you to bring it up. My moms were talking about me and Elizabeth growing up, getting bigger and stuff.
Oh?
What kind of stuff? Well, Mom only likes women, and Ma likes women too, but not just women. Yeah? Since the two of you were engaged in conversation, Cove got back into a sitting position. He brought a knee up and rested his arm atop it. A wistful expression overtook his face. Lewis is so bad at tic-tac-toe, can't even win in the time loop where he knows all of Cove's moves. Hey man, okay, it was already a cat's game at that point. There was no winning. I like how it took me a whole ass second to clue in, though, as I'm just like, yeah, I'll do this tic-tac-toe again. It took me until he was repeating his sentence that I was like, wait, that was a time loop. Hold on. Nani? I wonder when I'll know how I feel about that kind of thing. You don't know? Cove shook his head. Oh. I heard at some point you're supposed to start liking types of people. Guys or girls or whoever.
I don't know.
But I haven't. Nothing's changed. Maybe I have to grow up more. Maybe you just don't like anybody. Maybe you like all types of people. That's normal too. Cove seemed to appreciate that thought, if the smile that appeared on his lips was any indication. Okay, what about you? Who do you like? He turned his attention to you, looking encouraging. Ooh. He didn't lie about being stuck, lol. He really was stuck. In a time loop. We were both stuck. He knew. Cove knows. He knew about the time loop. Oh my god, what if K? Just AU headcanon, just Cove has been stuck in a time loop of this day. Playing tic-tac-toe with you over and over again. Trying to figure out how to beat you. And then finally, suddenly the time loop breaks. And now he has to pretend like it's all normal because he doesn't want you to find out. It's just Cove living Groundhog Day, except it's tic-tac-toe. No. Anyways. Let's see. Okay, so for Lewis, you were starting to have a physical attraction. You listened to... I don't know for Lewis. When he was this age, what would he have figured out at this point? I'll say specific cases for him. Yeah, there we go. But specifically when it came to how you felt towards boys... Well, obviously I know that Lewis finds them attractive. You found them attractive. You thought you'd be happy to be with a guy someday. Yeah, Lewis would say that. And how you felt towards girls, same thing. for people who weren't who weren't either attractive. Lewis is very much pansexual. He does not. It's all there for him. He good with whomstever. Wow, the new Groundhog Day movie plot sounds good. Cove Holden starring in Groundhog Day 2. Tic-tac-toe. You returned your attention to Cove. He was waiting patiently for your response. You explained how you felt to Cove. He nodded understandingly at your attempt to describe how you felt. It was nice to have people who supported you when it came to who you liked. And you knew he accepted you for who you were, too. He had never treated you differently because of your identity. Then he scratched the back of his head, sheepish. I'm not really sure how we ended up talking about all that when we just started out playing tic-tac-toe. But it was good, I think. I think so, too. Cove chuckled a little bashfully. He glanced around, clearly scrambling for something else to say. So, have you gotten to go to the beach recently? What? Yeah, actually, I'm really glad you brought it up. The conversation took a lighter turn after that, and it felt like you got closer that afternoon. Finally, the blazing sun began to set. To your relief, the air cooled down a bit as a result. You pulled yourself off the floor, as did Cove, with some minor complaint. You both stretched your arms, groaning, and yawned into your hands. You glanced out your window briefly, taking in the soft reds, pinks, and purples of the late afternoon sky. Ooh, pardon me. Somehow, you had made it through the scorching hot day in one piece. Cove turned towards you, motioning toward your window with his chin. Want to go outside? It might be better out there than it is in here now. Sounds good. I could really use some fresh air. The two of you took your time heading downstairs. You stopped briefly to grab a drink of water, then continued on your way. You stepped outside, one after the other, your destination being the familiar hills behind your house. This time of day, it was quiet outside. The flowers blew gently in the wind, petals trembling but stubbornly hanging in there. You felt the breeze cool your heated skin, and you relaxed your shoulders. Cove closed his eyes, releasing a deep breath. I really love it out here. Your opinion sure has changed since you were first on this hill. Cove chuckled, not even attempting to deny your words. A beat passed, but his gaze didn't stray from your own. His voice was impossibly soft when he spoke up again. I'm glad I met you, Lewis. You're really important to me, you know? These boys. I feel the same. Your voice came out equally delicate. From the way his features brightened, though, you knew he heard you. Then Cove rested an arm on one of your shoulders, leaning against you. Aw. Even as the sun disappeared completely and the sky darkened, you and Cove remained side by side for as long as you possibly could. So cute. We got 3 more, so maybe next stream we will be finished step 2. And we can head on to step 3. That'll be interesting. I doubt we'll get to play step 3 next stream, but we can probably finish step 2, so exciting stuff. Which, as usual, I will be streaming again next Saturday, actually at 11 p.m. next time. I won't be caught up and delayed, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I might stream somewhere else in the week. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Wait and see. I have some recording I have to catch up on now that my booth is actually assembled, sort of. Mostly. It was a crazy day. But yes, I won't keep any of you awake any longer, because I know for most of you it is very late. Exactly, just 2 dudes being bros, and these 2 dudes are going to keep being bros. It's just going to be so platonic. But thank you all for coming and chilling. I hope to see you guys at least next Saturday. And yeah. Hope you have a good rest of your night and sleep and whatever else you're doing. Bye!